Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion. Today's topic, trading the secular trend. A little bit of a sell-off today. I mean, when Monty and I were just talking, when are people going to start buying again?
I feel like it's a while off. It's a bleak answer. But
maybe the better question is, how short are people going to get and what's going to compel them if this week hasn't been enough already?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. Obviously equity markets are playing a big factor in the price action of both Bitcoin and ETH. I think there's no doubt about that. Fear in traditional equity markets is bleeding over into crypto, and that's something that we've talked about in the past, how although it may not show the same correlation to the upside, when the market goes risk off, everything goes risk off, including Bitcoin and ETH. So it's like it's unfortunate because we didn't get the benefit of that NASDAQ pump on the back of those names like Nvidia pumping so hard, and then we didn't get really any up thrust from that. We did get a little bit of positive price action from the BlackRock ETF news, but beyond that, I mean, Bitcoin's just been sideways, and now it's finally breaking down, and it's clear that it's because of the fear in the equity markets. Now, pulling up the Bitcoin chart, you can see we've broken out of the range that I'd been highlighting all throughout the week. This was 29K was a very critical level for Bitcoin. We saw a lot of Bitcoin exchange hands at this level, lots of volume of price, finally breaking down below that level. Not only that, but if you look at let's just look at Bitcoin in general first, then we'll move over to some alts. But trading volume up 65% today, ETH up 46% today. So that is a significant uptick in volume. And what that tells me is that, one, okay, people are there is fear in this market right now, and that's evident. People are moving their money. But what I would do is watch volume as a leading indicator for when we're going to bottom in price. Keep checking, the Trade the Chain dashboard or CoinGlass, or just looking at the bars of volume here. Right now, I think Bitcoin can keep going lower because we're seeing increasing bearish volume on the 4-hour chart. And until that stops, until we get back to these levels of flat volume, then I think we keep sliding. And that's not good news if you're long Bitcoin, ETH, or any of the alts. So that's just kind of, worth noting that we're seeing such a significant uptick in volume. I think it all has to do, like I said, with fear around traditional equity markets, like that one of these two scenarios plays out. People are scared, and rates are approaching that level that I've been talking about all week, that if we get above that level, then maybe that secular trend becomes a downtrend, and we start to see a lot of risk off price action. But that's yet to be seen. Surprisingly, the DXY is pulling back a little bit. But it's clear that people are scared. It's translating over to Bitcoin, and people are spot dumping. And as a result, price is sliding pretty hard here. So that's what has happened in the last about 12 hours for Bitcoin. It really started last night the sell-off, but got worsened by the equity markets open this morning. So that's what's going on. But what are your thoughts on Bitcoin, CJ, as we are kind of dipping down towards 28K?
Yeah, I think sometimes when we say like long until wrong or whatever, I think we're kind of just seeing like the inverse of that, where it's like down until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
But I've been open to the idea that it could be a local bottom in the Nasdaq just in the short term, based on like the fear and everything that we've seen this week. But I'm hesitant to buy. I just don't think we're necessarily there just yet.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this before the show, and there you go. I mean, these crypto-related equities, right? They're taking it on the chin. They showed that high beta that Bitcoin wasn't showing earlier. And man, I think when the market turns, these things are gonna rally hard. But I want to hear your thoughts on the crypto-related equities.
A point that we had kind of highlighted yesterday was looking at a lot of these assets and where they had begun their price action prior to the Bitcoin ETF news from BlackRock. Approximately June 20th is when that news announcement came out, and that's where everything really took off. Now, do we have to fully round trip those gains? Not necessarily, but we probably will if the stock market keeps going down and the Nasdaq is unable to rally here. So when you're looking at stuff like Mara, that you're kind of looking at a level of like 10 almost. In terms of like coin, this thing just continues to bleed a little bit each and every day. And I got my levels down here. We'll see if we get bids that come in from any of these levels. I'll be ready to buy and look for a potential turnaround in the equity market, but we're just not there yet. And there's no need to be early to a lame house party in my mind.
Back to that analogy, eh? It's a good one.
Yeah. I didn't trade this one, but one of the really good COT setups that ended up working this week was cotton following last week. That was something we talked about like on Monday. Didn't take it, but definitely could go back to the like bottom of this range. That was an interesting setup. Other one we talked about was like Nikkei. I think closing that one, or I did close that one. Just with this hammer candle, content to take profit on it and reevaluate. Can always get you can always reshort and get back in. I just think there's been a lot of selling this week, and you're starting to see a little bit of relief in not necessarily tech, but some stuff to start. So we'll see. It's just like I don't. Doug was asking me yesterday if I was bullish or bearish before the team meeting, and I was like, I don't know. I think like I don't care if the stock market crashes. I just can't be short with like the people who I know are short right now. And that might be a little arrogant, but
No,
it's worked well this year. So why stop doing it?
exactly. Do what works, and what's working right now, or at least this year, this calendar year, has been contrarian trading. There's no doubt about that. And I think that you're right. A lot of people that are short, not to name names, but just watch CNBC and look for the bearish rhetoric that they're talking about. You know, you would think the world's ending. And to CJ's point, like when they start talking about that and the market starts looking vulnerable, we get shorts piling in, everyone buying puts and expecting the market to crash with the same velocity that it went up. That doesn't always happen, and that's a point I made yesterday. And I think that's something that people really got to watch out for if you're buying puts in the Nasdaq or S&P. If you buy expecting this, you're going to be very disappointed, because more than likely we're going to see some sideways chop that's going to lead to those puts losing value due to theta and time decay. So, be very careful. I think a lot of people are going to try and jump in short assets that look overextended, things that have gaps to the downside, like Google. Like, people are tempted to trade these things, but still don't forget, like, this is just a few dollars off its 52-week high. not necessarily a horrible looking chart by any means. And, Microsoft pulling back to a very critical level. We'll see if it starts finding some support. But, you know, a lot of people are saying that this is going to be the beginning of a new secular trend to the downside. And we'll see if that's the case. With big tech names looking, as vulnerable as they are today, I won't be surprised to see a lot of puts pile in and then things start trading sideways. Those puts forced to cover, and then the market goes back up to new all time highs. It's kind of like the scenario it's happened over and over again. It feels like Groundhog's Day, um, really, with this sort of like, it's like, okay, the bear trend's over or the bubble is popping. Time to get short. Everyone buys puts. Those puts expire worthless and the market shoots up. I think we'll see the same thing here.
That's a good point. Why don't we check put call equity ratios real quick? Oh, we did have a big spike yesterday. Let me show you this.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, this is the platinum
That's
chart.
the platinum.
Same thing in the put call equity ratio, though. You spike into the green. When we've spiked into the green, we've seen a lot of local bottoms. So, I mean, we are still at very elevated levels, but fear is starting to come back a little bit. That's without a doubt. And also, there's a tweet I could probably dig through and pull up, but the gist of it was the AAII sentiment service or survey starting to get below average in terms of the bullish view. So if you were to take the average bullish view of the past like 4 weeks or 5 weeks, we're starting to get very below that level. So it's kind of a reflection of sentiment getting more negative, more bearish. But then again, sentiment is one thing. I think, you really got to see the positioning of the COT report this week. That should be very interesting. But kind of a precarious situation where I'm not really doing a lot of trading right now. I'm looking at some setups maybe into like next week, but I don't really want to do a whole lot right now, at least today. How about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I talked yesterday a little bit about how I am, closing my some of my short positions. Let's see, what did I on 2 days ago? I talked about shorting Ethereum Classic because it was kind of flying under the radar in terms of funding rate. It actually still had a positive funding rate. But what was interesting about that one, and let me just pull up this tweet real quick. What was interesting about Ethereum Classic is we saw these weird peaks in sentiment, right? And for me, this was the trigger for entry when I saw the sentiment drop off and then it dropped off again and basically went to zero. I saw this as a trigger for entry and I shared it with the members of the Discord community. I said, this looks like a good short. It's kind of flying under the radar. And then, a few hours later, I said underperforming relative to Bitcoin, but picking up momentum in terms of trading volume. And that was very much the case last night. This actually got up to about, I think 5.5% versus average. So it saw a pretty significant spike in trading volume. And so when you have that in conjunction with a rapid negative move to the downside, I think that's typically a good sign to take profit. So that's what I said. And remember, you can always re-enter. So this was a good instance when like sentiment was a kind of precursor to the negative price action. And then the trading volume was a good indication that, you should be exiting because when the volume's picking up, that tells you that people are likely going to be taking a little bit of profit. So it's exactly what happened with the Ethereum Classic. That being said, that doesn't mean I don't think it can slide more today. But I think that shorting today is like, it's just not the play because
You're really doubling down on the bearish bet, I think, if you're shorting today.
Yeah, you are. It's like there's already been so much bearish price action. Like you would need significant continuation in order for like that trade to be profitable. I would be more. I'd be like what I'm doing, and I know CJ's is as well, is more so focusing on when will be the time to deploy capital. Like what catalyst? When are we going to get that catalyst? Like what do we need to see in order for us to deploy more capital to the upside? I have a feeling that there will be news around the BlackRock ETF. I think that will, pump Bitcoin and bring back the crypto related equities towards their 52-week highs. And when that happens, I want to have as much money as possible to deploy into those assets and capture that upside. So for now, let them sell off, and I will keep waiting patiently.
Yeah, it's got to be satisfying for folks who maybe missed some of the initial uptrend in the crypto equities prior to the ETF. Like if you didn't catch that or if you weren't paying attention, those are, basically looking like they're going to end up at the price before the initial move. So didn't miss too much, hopefully. But yeah, I have a couple setups I'd like to talk about just going into next week and recapping a couple of other things.
For sure.
So this is one thing that I had talked about in the community earlier in the week. I like Bar Chart, good site overall, but I'd say probably a month and a half ago when they published something very similar with fund managers who had their largest short positions since 2008 in the real estate sector, things like KRE, things like XLF. And XLF, although it's down this week, really broke out and squeezed a lot of these shorts out all throughout May, June, and then July. Now the shorts, I think once they were forced to cover, you see like a pullback and a lack of buy pressure to push things into new highs. However, one sector that I think is interesting that's now relevant in terms of positioning is real estate or just REITs. Fund managers are capitulating on their REIT positions at levels not seen since the global financial crisis. So everybody's getting out of real estate and just FOMOing to the downside at levels that are very comparable to 2008, which is interesting to me. So, I mean, maybe today is not the day for XLRE, but it's always interesting to me when you get these extreme spouts in sentiment, like what we had in the dollar, a week ago or a couple weeks back at the low. We had similar things. But yeah, just something to kind of watch out for. And then I'd say maybe the setup, I still don't like this. Maybe I might give this one another go today if this ends up being a lower high.
Yeah.
Some nice defined risk coming in. I mean, it's probably might not run these highs. Anyways, just looking at those sectors that are kind of crowded, there's also a point that Horse made that I really liked where basically he just tweeted something and it was this massive box towards the next like future year of Bitcoin. And it was basically a box between like 22K to 32K. And it's just like, I think now it's more about time than anything. Markets need time to get new entrants out and draw new people in. I think it's a natural part of the cycle that doesn't necessarily need to be fought right here.
Yeah. I mean, it's no secret that the money in the markets kind of centralizes itself, right? Like a new wave of participants will come in. We saw it in 2021. We saw it in 2017. And their capital,
saying the money centralizes itself is a very nice way of saying just all the smart people.
Yeah, it goes to all the sharks.
Yeah.
It goes to all the sharks and the whales. And they're the ones that survive, and then a new wave of participants will come in. But this time around, it might take a very, very long time because a lot of people lost a lot of money in this last cycle. Not just from and not and it wasn't just from negative price action. It was from all sorts of BS and mismanagement of customer funds, all sorts of things that led to people just losing trust in this space in general. So I think in order for new participants to come in, and like I said yesterday, like think about all the what a clown show crypto has been in the last year. Everything that's happened with
All
Sam
right.
Bankman-Fried. I know. Sorry. I'll calm down. Calm down. But it has been an absolute clown show. So why would anyone above the age of 55 right now, invest in Bitcoin? We need to bring more legitimacy to the space. We need to stop like pumping these Shiba Inu Sonic, whatever coins, and the trust needs to come back, and it's just not there right now. And until it's back, like it's hard for me to justify like a bullish case for Bitcoin because so many people got burned in the last year. That being said, like I still hold Bitcoin. I still believe in it in the long term. But like CJ said, it's all about time. If you don't have a long time preference, then you're probably not best served just sitting and holding Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's better assets to trade if you have a lower time preference that are actually like trending and stuff. So I think that's just, you want to play where it's easy, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to make things harder than they need to be. I do think though, when you talk about legitimacy and things like Shiba and like there's always going to be shit coins. That's kind of the nature of speculation. However, I think it could be interesting, and this is not my original idea, but I think it's an idea that's very interesting that could perhaps happen, which is that crypto Twitter is wrong about buying altcoins into the next cycle, and some of the best performing assets end up being like Coinbase, MicroStrategy, Mara, all the crypto equities, because the people who are buying those are like the Citadels of the world and the BlackRocks, obviously, because that's where you can buy these assets and still get space in a legitimate regulated way where you're not going to get rugged. You actually have money in a brokerage. I can't tell you how good it feels to hold Coinbase in, TradeStation from time to time after holding, stuff in, brokerages that we won't go into. So,
You're
so with
right.
that being said,
No, it's like
what if
just
these crypto equities, what if coin ends up going to like 700 or something because it becomes a meme stock? Like, I don't think crypto Twitter has thought about that at all, really.
yeah, you're right. They're completely focused on the altcoins. Um, but I agree with you completely. I think some of the best opportunity is definitely going to be in the crypto related equities. I think those are going to be the altcoins. And you said this like on the way up. They're basically just they're altcoins that are traded on the Nasdaq or on the on the
You don't
traditional.
even need to use the app of Coinbase to understand like the stock or why it has that. Like the app has very little to do with the thesis of coin stock price.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that they were the first in the space. They have the first mover advantage. They're large. They have capital capital to deploy. They didn't blow up when everyone else did, and they're surviving. So with their perpetual futures, I don't know if you guys
I don't
joined
think
the.
I don't think they're perpetuals.
Oh, they're not
I think
perpetuals.
they're just standard like monthly futures like CME type
Ooh,
format.
that's a little dangerous. But
They're real futures.
yeah,
Perpetual futures are an invention of the crypto industry, I think. Maybe
yeah,
not. I don't know when perps were first invented. That'd be I think BitMEX invented them, but
yeah. It's a good question. I actually don't know, but yeah, I think like man, like seeing Mara down 6.8% today, Riot down the same. Like I think those two are going to be such good opportunities to the upside. I really, really, yeah, and Hut, Vasic, he puts
that's
up
the
like
other thing. It's like those are Bitcoin centric assets. They don't necessarily depend on the alts or ETH.
Exactly.
And Bitcoin's not going anywhere. Like Wall Street is convinced of Bitcoin's legitimacy, and it's going to continue to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Another one that I think is worth taking a look at, like eventually, not right now, but is Sphere 3D Corp. They are a ESG crypto mining company, so they mine Bitcoin in an environmentally friendly way. How they do that, I don't know. But you can tell this stock's plummeting. Would not touch it right now. Let it cool off. But like I just, when I look at these, I see value. I see real value. And when Bitcoin turns around, I think we see Riot, Mara, Hut, Any. I think we see them do exactly what they did before and act as those high beta altcoins. And you're right, crypto Twitter hasn't realized it, but I think they will, and they'll start trading those instead of Sheeb, instead of Doge. And if you have both the retail side and like the big institutional side, like the Citadels and the BlackRocks of the world buying the stocks, like those things are going to pump unbelievably hard. And I think it's very much a possibility. So
that ought to make you optimistic, folks.
Yeah, you just got to be patient. It's unfortunate. Like times are tough
so
now,
true.
but like just you gotta. I know maybe I'm looking at this with rose-colored glasses, but like you're right. Like I missed the move in a lot of these assets. I didn't capitalize on the pump on the way up for like Mara, for Riot, for Coin. I caught like half of the move. So it's like we're getting another shot at this. The trading gods are giving us another shot at these high beta alts. And I'm going to take it. You don't often get another shot at it. And yeah, not now, but when the time comes. When the time comes.
Don't go out and buy. Don't press the buy button as we're just
not yet.
talking here.
Not yet. Sit on your hands.
Vasek has had a lot of good contributions this episode. I like it. Yeah, I mean, God, I could go on such a rant about Burry, but I don't want to. It's like, dude, he's a month away from being just another psychopathic hedge fund manager like Bill Wang, and like, what you're gonna pause withdrawals when you're down 13%? Like, that's not ethical. Like, you can't run a fund like that. That's not. You can't do that with people's money. Like, I don't care how rich they are. You can't just take their money, lose it, and then tell them you can't get it back. Anyways, the media they get a lot of clicks because, and that's the other thing. It's not Burry. It's the film The Big Short and Michael Lewis. I can't tell you how much money that's probably lost millennials who have watched that movie and pretended they were those two kids in the movie. Like, oh, we're going to trade options. We're going to buy puts and short the market. And they've just been worthless the last year. And I've known like 5 friends who have all done that and made no money. And it's honestly like quite sad, but like as screwed up as we are as a human race, we tend to make the stock market go up and to the right over time, and productivity kind of continues and tech innovation resumes. But I want to bring it back to the title of this episode, which is Trading the Secular Trend. Things to not do, or things that I'm most concerned about going into the secular trend, because I do think we're on the verge of a very big opportunity that Monty just laid out in the crypto equities. However, you have to prepare, like I have to prepare and keep in mind some form of remote event risk. So for instance, if there's another war, or if there's an invasion, or just some black swan we can't foresee that crashes price 20 to 30% in a night, if I'm levered, or if I have a lot of leverage in, let's say I'm levered 2x on coin, I could get margin called, and that would be like a nightmare situation, because in the last time we had that in 2020, price just rallied to new all-time highs and
Hmm.
made many, many millionaires in the process. So although getting aggressive is essential when playing these secular trends, I believe you have to like keep in mind and prepare for remote event risk. Because if I could probably just leverage even more if I just held spot and we crashed like 20%. I could probably just margin buy even more martingale it. That always works, right?
Oh yeah, always works.
So yeah, I mean, just I think these are the things that you got to have on your like little bullet point list of what we're gonna do here and try to like get this heist in the next couple of years because I think it is definitely a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. And I
And
think one go ahead.
I was just gonna say I could be wrong too. I mean, we might end up shorting this in like the next 3 to 4 months, and I'll have to forget everything I just said. Although, right now, that's where the most of my conviction is. Go ahead, Monty. I didn't mean to interrupt. I've been
No,
talking for
you're
a
good.
while.
No. It was all good, very good stuff. And I think that right now, like I know it's not exciting to not be taking a position, like, but I just I can't short here at these levels. It's just like it feels like buying at the top. That's what it feels like to me. So, either wait for the breakdown completely or like wait for the bounce to play the upside. Um, and really all I have to say is like the market might be boring for a while. This is the time to educate yourself and learn how to, trade not just options, but like just in general, learn what, like, if this scenario plays out, how are you going to position yourself to maximize your profits and minimize your risk? Um, Options are a great tool for that. Don't just go out there and buy naked calls. You will get burned. Don't buy naked puts. You will get burned. You know, learn how to buy spreads, learn how to buy like verticals, calendar spreads, iron condors. And like I said in yesterday's episode, I'm always in the Discord if you need help with and putting on any of those strategies or learning about those strategies in general. I'm more than happy to help talk about it and talk you through your position in our Discord. So I think it's going to be really important for you to like, for everyone, including myself. Like, I'm trying to just better myself as a trader and prepare for a move to the upside because this move to the downside isn't going to last forever. And once we get that bounce, I want to maximize my profits. I don't want to leave anything left on the table.
Yeah, I think most importantly, like just not losing money at this current point in time, maintaining, your wealth.
Yeah.
And yeah, Monty does a great job with that stuff. Highly recommend it. We're gonna have a futures education course very soon as well to talk you through very similar things. Monty's and I trade our trading strategies are very similar in the sense that really all you're doing is you're picking a setup with a risk to reward better than whatever you're going to lose, and then tightly managing it with 100 basis point stop or 70 basis point stop, whatever is most optimal for your strategy, but just not losing money. You're probably not going to win more than 50% of the time, but as long as you're cutting losers and maintaining like losses, your winners, like the winners are going to happen. Like I could just be pressing random buttons. I'm going to get a 20% trade. Like it's going to happen just by random luck. So I think we should all take some like comfort in that. Like these trades are going to happen just because of the law of like random numbers and like spinning a roulette wheel, you will get 22 black or whatever you're betting on. Well, maybe that's a different.
Hey,
Anyways,
you
those
don't
trades
have
are going to happen. That's my point.
you're gonna have everyone that's going and sitting at the roulette wheel betting 22 black. It's just sitting there all day. But no, you're right. I think that's a very good point. Like the time will come for these trades, and you got to know how to trade them. Like, man, Riot just getting absolutely hammered today. It's essentially already retraced the entire ETF news. So, like, what happens when the ETF comes to fruition? What is this thing going to do? If it did that on a rumor, what's it going to do when reality hits? I think that's something to really think about. Because BlackRock has a phenomenal record with the SEC. They're aiming for 3 months, or their target was, the start of Q3. I think they've pushed it back slightly, but I still think they get this ETF done. And when they do, we see a massive turnaround in these crypto related equities. I mean, look at this. This is Riot. It's basically completely retraced all the ETF gains that it made and that high beta exposure. While Bitcoin would just kind of chop sideways. So I think you got to be ready. And the opportunity is almost there. But just not quite yet.
All right. Well, another very exciting day in markets. I don't have any open positions, but I'm still very excited just watching. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing well, and we will see you back here same time tomorrow for a nice Friday edition. But hope you have a good rest of your day and enjoy Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care.